The term New Public Management, or NPM, refers to a set of reforms that have had a tremendous impact on how public sector organizations are structured. The reforms have advanced concepts about actual organizations, which include having a distinct identity, the ability to plan and implement rational decisions, and clearly defined borders and hierarchical structures. Professor W. Chan Kim and Renee Morvan has developed an inspired Blue Ocean Strategy, or BOSS, which offers a unique and systematic approach to formulate strategies in both the public and private sectors. According to Kim and Morvan, managers and leaders should reconstruct the traditional boundaries of industries, markets, and government to create blue oceans rather than engaging in direct competition with their competitors. Unlike traditional management thinking, which believe that improving quality or adding features to a product or service charge greater cost, value innovation, which is the Blue Ocean Strategy's cornerstone, enables customers to enjoy superior, differentiating product at lower cost. The BOSS is a post-new public management reform agenda that strives to foster value innovation in service delivery. Blue Ocean Strategy can be utilized across industry or businesses. The BOSS in the public sector was inspired by the paradigm of new public management, which connect government reforms around the world to significant improvement in the public services. When it comes to business strategy and innovation, a lot of companies or organizations are stuck in a red ocean. Red ocean is where the companies try to capture a greater part of the market's current demand to outperform their competitors. In contrast, when there is limited potential for growth in an industry or market sector, business can look for verticals or routes of obtaining new business where they can uncontested market share or a blue ocean. Yang amat berbahagia Datuk Seri Najib Bintun Haji Abdul Razak, the former 6th Prime Minister of Malaysia, has taken this new approach and it will be implemented by the government to implement various initiatives to achieve the National Key Resort Areas (NKRA). During the last 6 years since BOSS was established, the government has fulfilled the aspirations of Malaysians, raising income levels to high levels and enhancing public happiness without spending significant costs, and bringing Malaysia's aim of being a high-income, happy nation with low taxation to reality.
One of the symptoms or condition of the issue is political leadership. Political leadership is necessary for every change initiative. The country's political leadership should champion the transformation by working to reorient the bureaucracy toward enhancing service delivery and improving living standards rather than simply implementing reforms for their own sake. The Blue Ocean Strategy was started by former Prime Minister of Malaysia. However, such improvements can be endangered if a new political leader comes in without understanding the nature of the issue, or if he is not supportive of the measures being adopted by his predecessor. For example, if the government changes, the new government will either change the project or stop the project. Hence, there is no improvement in rural area. Political leadership issues really can cause disruption to Blue Ocean strategies for people in rural areas. Next is the technology issue. Winning people's loyalty and interest is difficult when a new player in a market is offering whole new technologies or entirely different items. People in rural areas become suspicious of it and are typically reluctant to adopt the technology right away. Early stage ventures can result in a short-term losses, but they also create an opportunity to gain the customer trust and establish a market before competitors enter it. Producing a new market is never easy, as organizations must be smart and clear about how to impact education about their ideas, products, and solutions. Rural people sometimes do not accept new ideas from the Blue Ocean strategy because they stick with their own ideas. Furthermore, implementation machinery issue. Central implementation machinery is needed for best practice system to be implemented across the public sector. The government should establish a high-level steering group to monitor and follow up the reform effort. It should also create a Blue Ocean Strategy Project Execution Unit inside each ministry. This unit can be developed by integrating the current implementation units of previous reforms or using existing resources inside an organization in keeping with the Blue Ocean Strategy Project concept of not raising expenses. For example, there is no special central unit to manage Blue Ocean Strategy in rural areas. Its absence will make it difficult to manage projects for rural areas such as agriculture. Last but not least, the Blue Ocean Strategy requires a mindset change issue. The employees must change their approach to service delivery when pursuing innovation. For example, employees should not ask for additional resources when pursuing a new BOSS project. They must also adjust to the new working arrangements, such as in Malaysia's Urban Transformation Center, which operate over weekends and late into the night. The right mindset is crucial to progress. People in rural places have extremely distinct mindsets from those in metropolitan settings. People in the rural regions have a worldview that emphasizes maintaining their property for agricultural process. However, the urban brain would believe that if the land is not exploited as effectively as possible to earn a profit, it is very much a loss. To improve strategic management for people in rural areas, it is essential that they change their attitude toward using resources wisely and preparing for the future.
One of the major causes of the surrounding issue that Blue Ocean strategy in rural area is undeveloped mindset, which is very evident in the people in a rural community. According to Yala Press, mindset seems to support the idea that people have accepted poverty and do not aspire to more, supporting the culture of poverty. In addition to the region's poor school and high poverty rates, the legacy of that deprivation persists today in people's belief about their capacity for advancement and escape from the undeveloped mindset. People in Membakut Sabah, for instance, are more interested in becoming customers or purchasers than in competing to draw attention to the locations and have a rival for the sale of goods in the market. Ironically, poor rural communities' social mobility and community change are hampered by both structure and by culture, as well as by underdeveloped mindset. Next causes is the lack of machinery and resources in rural area. The government doesn't provide any financial help or training, so people cannot create their own businesses and compete with each other in that area. Resources such as foodstuffs, raw materials, fuel, and product materials also play a role for communities in rural areas to create some competitions in the market. This is also due to the lack of allocations provided or distributed by higher authority or chief in the area. It also affects internet resources to start online business where internet use is limited in rural areas. For example, in Paitan town, which is located in Beluran district, very far in distance, due to this, Paitan town is less competitive when it comes to goods sales. The causes of the next issue is poor leadership or political influences. According to Kawan 2004, politicians have been found to be very influential on people's life. The government has failed to help the local people by providing them with basic necessities such as education, healthcare, and employment opportunities, especially in rural areas. For instance, the community of Kimanis is preferred to travel to district of Papar to find products because it has more options and is more competitive in its market than the town of Kimanis, which has only one block of outdated stores. This indicates that the local government in rural areas needs to improve since it is lack of choices and competitions in the Papar that prevents the community from creating a stable and dynamic market for its goods. This is due to the fact that politicians are more interested in making money outside of their district and do not care about rural communities lacking in economic resources and outside investors. Last causes is from the rural areas' knowledge and technology. Rural areas are usually underdeveloped and lack modern facilities. Knowledge which can be tested or codified is a crucial component of production, and how it is disseminated affects commercial potential. Consider, for instance, how a lack of access to official and informal networks of assistance and a greater distance to consumers and suppliers may be disadvantageous for rural businesses. Small Bond 2003 note that very small businesses have a harder time getting in touch with business support organizations, and that the geographical dispersions of businesses in rural areas make it more difficult for service providers to effectively reach these businesses at a reasonable cost. This may be even worse if rural businesses believe the funding is focused on larger, higher growth metropolitan businesses. The government has not provided the facilities needed by the residents of rural areas, which causes them to have less technological expertise and understanding.
Moving on to the impact of the issue to people in rural area. Political issue will affect the project that has been implemented or still ongoing in the rural area. As government changes, funding for project in the rural area will be cut. This will affect the projects in the rural area. The changes in government will shift the priorities, and as a result, projects that are essential for the community will have to be prioritized. For instance, if another industry is more important than agriculture, this could mean that funds will be slashed from other initiatives and it would have to be prioritized based on their high value or impact status rather than development of newer projects in agriculture. As a result, some projects will be abandoned and stopped due to lack of funds. For instance, agriculture program through Blue Ocean Strategy that has been implemented for the youth in the rural areas because of the lack of participation in agriculture industry under government's program. The success of this program had increased revenue of agropreneur, but due to changes in government, funding has been reduced because prioritization changed after introduction of cross-cutting entrepreneurship policies by government. In addition, the adoption of cross-cutting entrepreneurship policies by the government will cause uncertainty among entrepreneurs in addition to redundancy.
Next is waste of technology use. The implementation of the Blue Ocean Strategy in rural area absolutely require the use of technology. But there are some people who are early adopter while others are more resistant and prefer the comfort of the familiar. Same goes to the society in the rural area, where each person's reaction to something new, such as technology, will be different. Even if the new technology claims to be user-friendly and useful, all the society or even the workers involved that did not familiar with the use of the particular technology surely will be useless. We can look at the certain agriculture industry, where some rural residents are still choosing to carry out their tasks in the traditional way since they are less exposed to employing agricultural technology. Sometimes, introducing the blue ocean strategy doesn't work due to the fact that people in the rural area will favor human level over technological growth since not everyone is prepared for or knowledgeable about technology, especially the elderly who are stick to the hereditary way of life in the rural area. As a result, the technology machine that has been provided in the rural area will not be utilized or used, resulting in waste in the technology sector.
Another impact is led to misunderstanding. People in the rural area focus on using their land as a source of income, while people in the urban area are more concerned with making profits. Rural residents do not have much knowledge about the Blue Ocean strategy, making it hard for them to implement this strategy in their own lives. Moreover, it is not easy for the people in the rural area to get the information regarding the current changes, since they are only focusing on what they are used to do. As we aware, the people in the rural area mostly still holding on to their tradition, especially when managing their land, since they are used to it, which make it difficult to talk or persuade them about the current changes. Not only that, they might also doesn't believe in any changes that the urban people bring to their area. At the end of the day, it might only worsen the situation, which let the rural people misunderstand about the Blue Ocean strategy.
Last impact is not enough resources. It requires a lot of resources which are not readily available in rural areas. Philipson 2019 stated that the rural areas has a limited population, which means that the expectations of consumers are lower than those in urban areas. According to Smith 2020, a blue ocean strategy requires a large amount of resources and time. This means that it must be implemented by an organization that has enough resources to invest into the project and time to implement it correctly. This is because a blue ocean strategy associated with hidden costs such as employee turnover rates, training costs, and lost productivity due to switching over from old methods of doing business. Before introducing anything new into an organization's operation, these costs must be considered because if nothing else changes, they may eventually exceed any potential advantages.
So let's move on to the next part, which is recommendation. The first recommendation that can be taken is by having a strong political leadership. Leadership is one of the most important elements in any industry or organization for ensuring that all objectives and goals are met. Leadership will help an organization to direct its resources for greater efficiency and goal achievement. Skillful, strong, and effective leader make each of the BOSS project goal clear and inspire it toward achieving them. In order to ensure that the BOSS can be implemented within the rural area, good and strong political leadership is needed within that area, which should interact with the society and lead them towards such an initiative so that they can benefit from it. Besides that, a steering body and implementation machinery also need to be established and provided at such place. At the beginning of the BOSS project, besides having a good leadership, the company should establish a steering committee. This is because a high-level steering body will surely ensure every reform effort is maintained if it is closely monitored and track it from time to time, and this will detect any problem and eliminate them as soon as possible so that BOSS initiative will be not stopped or extended. Furthermore, the ministry must provide adequate resources throughout the project. Fund provided should enable each project to access sufficient equipment and resources. With an appropriate and adequate machine, it should be easy to develop or manage the BOSS project, and indirectly this can increase effectiveness and efficiency as well as productivity and success for each of the BOSS project. Next is by change and developing one mindset. The refusal to exchange and share information with the workers from various departments of the same organization is known as silo mentality, and this mindset is viewed as harming the company culture and at worst decreasing the organization efficiency. Blue Ocean strategy is envisioned as a collaborative process in which all levels of organization can identify opportunities, generate new solutions, and enhance productivity. This innovation culture must start at the top management, where employees are promoted to take ownership of those ideas and fostering collaboration between co-workers, client, and external stakeholders. Not only that, but proper and frequent training should also be provided at all levels in order to provide a better understanding of Blue Ocean strategy and the mechanisms so that creativity is not limited by top management preferred methods. Finally, establishing an innovation team to enhance technology in rural area. By having an innovation team, they can identify issues in technology and come up with creative solutions. The size of the team and its exact composition heavily depend on the industry, the domain of expertise, and the size of a corporation, which will later prevent dispute from arising frequently. The agency leading the collaborative team should be the main stakeholder in finding a solution to any issue arise. Innovation has the key to the success of Blue Ocean Strategy project for one reason or another. The organization capacity to develop a cutting-edge product or services may be hindered by failing to provide enjoyable opportunity for the employees to express their creativity and ideas. All levels in the organization must support the innovation team, and it will be much better if the political establishment back the team effort. By having this innovation team for every Blue Ocean Strategy project, surely can enhance technology within the rural area.
As an overall conclusion, it can be said that Blue Ocean strategy in the public sector was inspired by the paradigm of new public management, which connected government reforms around the world to significant improvement in public services. Even though BOSS was established to provide a leap in value in public service delivery at a relatively low cost, there are some issues that happen regarding this BOSS based on several factors. Some of the issues are political leadership issue, implementation machinery issue, mindset and technological development issues. These issues have impacted and bring negative effects to the people in the rural area due to the change of new government. However, several recommendations has been highlighted to minimize the issues, such as gaining political influences, enhancing sufficient machinery, changing and developing mindset, and enhancing technology, including in rural area. These are important to ensure effectiveness of the public sector organization.